Raw red kidney beans. These are among the most popular legumes in the world, frequently used in chili, salads, and rice dishes, but they also carry the highest concentration of a toxic protein called phytohemagglutinin. When ingested raw or undercooked, this chemical binds to the walls of the human digestive tract, severely disrupting cell metabolism and causing extreme gastrointestinal distress. It takes as few as 4 or 5 raw beans to trigger severe symptoms like intense nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea within just a few hours. Interestingly, cooking them at low temperatures, such as in a slow cooker that stays below boiling, actually multiplies the toxicity levels rather than neutralizing them. To make them entirely safe, they must be soaked in water for several hours and then boiled rapidly at 100 degrees Celsius for at least 10 minutes. Fava beans. Also known as broad beans, this ancient crop has been cultivated for thousands of years across the Mediterranean and Middle East, yet it poses a unique genetic risk known as favism. Certain individuals possess an inherited enzyme deficiency called G6PD deficiency, which leaves their red blood cells highly vulnerable to oxidative stress. When these individuals eat fava beans or even inhale their pollen, compounds called vicine and convicine trigger a rapid destruction of their red blood cells. This leads to acute hemolytic anemia, a dangerous condition where the body cannot replace dead red blood cells fast enough, resulting in jaundice, dark urine, and severe fatigue. Because this condition is tied directly to genetics, it primarily affects people of Mediterranean, African, and Middle Eastern descent, making fava beans a lifelong dietary hazard for those with the trait. Castor beans. Despite the name, these are not true beans, but are the seeds of the Ricinus communis plant, famously cultivated to produce castor oil, which is widely used in lubricants, cosmetics, and traditional medicines. The danger lies in the raw seed itself, which contains ricin, one of the most potent naturally occurring toxins known to science. Ricin works by entering the cells of the body and permanently blocking their ability to synthesize essential proteins, which inevitably leads to cell death and organ failure. Chewing and swallowing just a small handful of these seeds can be fatal to an adult as the digestive system absorbs the toxin rapidly. Fortunately, the commercial extraction process involves intense heat that completely inactivates the ricin protein, leaving the refined castor oil completely safe for consumer use. Lima beans. Originating in South America and named after the Peruvian capital, these buttery legumes contain varying amounts of cyanogenic glycosides, which are natural defense mechanisms designed to ward off wild herbivores. When the raw beans are chewed or damaged, an enzyme inside them breaks down these glycosides and releases hydrogen cyanide, a highly lethal gas that halts cellular respiration. In the United States and many Western nations, agricultural regulations strictly limit the cyanide content allowed in commercially grown lima beans, making domestic varieties relatively safe. However, wild types and varieties grown in certain tropical regions can contain significantly higher concentrations of the toxin. Thoroughly boiling the beans in an uncovered pot allows the volatile cyanide gas to escape safely into the air, with the steam rendering the food perfectly safe for consumption. Soybeans. This massive global commodity is prized for its high protein content and versatility in foods like tofu, soy milk, and animal feed, but raw soybeans contain powerful trypsin inhibitors. Trypsin is a crucial enzyme produced in the human pancreas that allows the small intestine to break down and digest dietary proteins properly. When raw or undercooked soybeans are consumed, these inhibitors bind to trypsin, causing severe indigestion, bloating, and preventing the body from absorbing nutrients effectively. Over time, a diet high in raw soy can strain the pancreas, forcing it to work overtime to produce more enzymes, which can lead to pancreatic hypertrophy. Industrial processing and standard home cooking methods, such as fermentation and boiling, easily denature these sensitive inhibitors, turning soy into a highly nutritious staple. Green beans, commonly referred to as string beans or snap beans, these are harvested while still immature, allowing people to consume the entire pod along with the tiny seeds inside. While they are safe to eat raw in small quantities, they contain moderate levels of lectins, which are carbohydrate-binding proteins that plants use to protect themselves from pests. Eating large amounts of raw green beans can cause mild to moderate stomach irritation, cramps, and nausea because the human stomach cannot easily break down these sticky proteins. Cooking them through steaming, boiling, or sautéing completely alters the structure of the lectins, neutralizing their ability to stick to the gut lining. This simple heat application removes the digestive risk entirely while preserving most of the vegetable's vitamins and minerals. Jumping beans. These unique objects are actually the seeds of a specific shrub native to Mexico, and the hazard they present is less about chemical toxicity and more about physical contamination and choking risks. The energetic movement that gives them their name is caused by the larvae of a small moth that lives inside the hollowed-out seed pod. When the larva feels warmth, it spasms and hooks its legs, causing the bean to roll or hop to find shade and avoid drying out in the sun. Because they are marketed as novelty toys, they can easily be mistaken for food by small children or pets, presenting a distinct choking hazard. Furthermore, eating means ingesting live insect larvae and the debris inside the shell, which can introduce unwanted bacteria into the human digestive system. Black beans. Widely celebrated as a foundational ingredient across Latin American and Caribbean culinary traditions, these dark, oval-shaped legumes owe their deep color to powerful antioxidants called anthocyanins. While they offer exceptional cardiovascular benefits and a dense, meaty texture, raw black beans contain high concentrations of lectins and indigestible complex sugars known as oligosaccharides. Ingesting them without proper preparation leads to severe abdominal bloating, gas, and intestinal discomfort, as the human body lacks the enzymes required to break these sugars down in the stomach. When allowed to pass intact into the large intestine, native gut bacteria ferment them rapidly, producing significant gas. Thoroughly soaking the dried beans and boiling them until completely soft dissolves these troublesome sugars and neutralizes the toxic lectins, making them perfectly digestible. Pinto beans. This earth-tone speckled legume is the most frequently consumed bean variant across the United States and Mexico, serving as the essential base for traditional refried beans. Like its close relative, the kidney bean, the pinto bean contains measurable quantities of phytohemagglutinin, though in slightly lower concentrations than the dark red varieties. Eating them raw or undercooked can still trigger acute stomach cramps, diarrhea, and vomiting within hours of consumption. Beyond the temporary gastrointestinal distress caused by lectins, pinto beans also house phytic acid, an anti-nutrient that binds tightly to essential minerals like iron, zinc, and calcium in the digestive tract, preventing their absorption. Standard cooking practices, particularly soaking the beans overnight and discarding the water before boiling, effectively reduces phytic acid levels and eliminates the toxic lectin threat entirely. Garbanzo beans. Commonly known as chickpeas, these ancient round legumes have been cultivated in the Middle East and Mediterranean regions for over 7,000 years, providing the essential foundation for dishes like hummus and falafel. While they do not present the extreme immediate toxicity of red kidney beans, raw garbanzo beans are remarkably hard and contain high levels of saponins and protease inhibitors. Saponins are soap-like chemical compounds that plants produce to deter insects, and when consumed by humans in their raw state, they can cause a soap-like foam to form in the gut, leading to mild nausea and lining irritation. Protease inhibitors further complicate digestion by blocking the enzymes needed to digest protein, causing severe metabolic inefficiency if consumed regularly. Cooking them thoroughly breaks down these defensive chemicals, unlocking a rich source of plant-based protein and fiber. Great northern beans. These medium-sized, delicate white legumes are highly favored in North American cooking for their ability to absorb savory liquids without losing their structural integrity, making them excellent additions to stews and baked dishes. In their raw state, great northern beans are packed with alpha amylase inhibitors, which are specialized proteins that prevent mammalian digestive enzymes from breaking down starches into usable sugars. Consuming these beans raw effectively paralyzes the starch digestion process in the small intestine, forcing undigested complex carbohydrates into the colon where they ferment aggressively, causing severe cramping and bloating. Because these starch-blocking proteins are highly sensitive to thermal energy, standard boiling completely unravels their molecular structure, rendering the starches easy to digest and entirely safe for the human body. Cannellini beans, frequently referred to as white kidney beans. These large, silky legumes are an indispensable element of traditional Italian cuisine, heavily featured in minestrone soups and fresh salads. Because they are biologically identical to the red kidney bean family, they share the exact same evolutionary defense mechanism in the form of phytohemagglutinin. While the concentration of this toxin can sometimes be slightly lower in white varieties compared to dark red ones, the danger of acute poisoning remains highly significant if they are eaten raw or prepared in low-temperature slow cookers. Consuming undercooked cannellini beans disrupts the cellular lining of the intestines, leading to rapid-onset gastrointestinal illness. Ensuring they reach a full boil for a minimum of 10 minutes completely neutralizes this specific threat, transforming them into a smooth, creamy ingredient. Navy beans. These small, white oval-shaped legumes earned their historical name by serving as an official dietary staple for the United States Navy during the early 20th century due to their exceptional shelf life and high nutritional density. Like other white beans, raw navy beans possess significant quantities of lectins and phytic acid, which act as a double-edged defense system against wild animals and pests. The lectins cause immediate irritation to the stomach wall, while the phytic acid acts over time by stripping the body of its ability to utilize dietary iron and calcium, potentially leading to nutritional deficiencies if consumed raw consistently. Fortunately, the commercial canning process involves high-pressure steam cooking that completely eradicates these anti-nutrients, making canned navy beans safe to eat straight from the container. Lentils. While technically categorized as small pulses rather than true botanical beans, these tiny, disc-shaped seeds belong to the same overarching legume family and are treated almost identically in global culinary spaces, from Indian dals to European soups. Because of their incredibly small size and thin seed coats, lentils do not require hours of pre-soaking and cook far faster than standard beans, but they still contain low to moderate amounts of lectins and phytic acid when raw. Eating raw lentil sprouts or uncooked lentil flour can irritate the stomach lining and cause moderate digestive distress, though the symptoms are rarely as violent as those caused by kidney beans. Boiling lentils for 15 to 20 minutes is all that is required to neutralize their internal chemical defenses completely, making them one of the fastest and safest plant proteins to prepare.